Look. Oh, snap. Check out the countdown. Oh, snap. That means ropes is going down. Let's get it. Bobby Fish, the biggest deal in pro wrestling. You think I'm lying? Check out his wrestling resume. AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling. You believe me now? He joins Off the Top Rope live Friday afternoon at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk it up with your boy Ty Asbury about what the hottest free agent in wrestling is up to next. Watch Bobby Fish on Off the Top Rope Friday.
The Ropes Media. Tyrod Asbury. Yeah. Tyrod Asbury. Yeah. Every chance you get to hear us, you clear us. It's the time.
What is up, everybody? It's Friday afternoon. You know what's going down. This is your boy Ty Asbury, of course, with Off the Top Rope Friday afternoon. I'm going to say this. If you're ready for a slam, I got the guest that can bring that to you. Of course, he's the hottest free agent in wrestling. He's done it all, but most importantly, he has the most educated and fast feet in wrestling. I got Bobby Fish live on the show. Bobby, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing, Ty? Thank you for having me on.
It's an honor, man. You know, I got to say first and foremost, being a fan of yours, that's first. It's an honor to have you on the show. But I got to ask you, of course, being the one and the only Bobby Fish, you got to be super busy, man, with wrestling. You're doing stuff outside of wrestling, your podcast. How hard is it to keep up with Bobby Fish?
It's every day is quite full. And I am a very guilty party when it comes to trying to do everything. Like I don't I don't focus enough, but like I'll try to do 10 things at once rather than do one thing, finish it, be done with it, and then move on to the next. My wife gets so frustrated with me, and I get it myself. And I remind myself not to do that, but then I find myself doing it. Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like that's why I say it to a lot of wrestlers all the time. I have such a great respect for what you do because not order in wrestling trying to keep what you do in the ring together, moves, working out, traveling, but keeping the family together. And like how freaking hard is that to keep a family together outside of kicking people in the face in the ring?
The travel, and I'm sure I won't be the first one to bring it up, but the travel is the most difficult part. Somebody years ago had mentioned to me, we are professional travelers, and then we get to wrestle sometimes. And a lot of the times that's what it starts to feel like. And it is. It's difficult, and everybody knows the ending to this story if you don't find the balance, and it's not a happy one. Family. I got married in July, and your priorities, I'll say, not just in pro wrestling, but in life, as you reach different ages and going from your 20s to your 30s to your 40s, um, progress and evolution needs to be there. And then that means that the priorities, some things need to become clear. And if you're not paying attention to that stuff, like I said, the ending of that story is not a happy one.
Yeah, it's all about telling a good story. And Bobby Fish is telling a good story with your wrestling career, man. You've done it all. And I'm going to be talking about that as much as the show goes on. You've done so much in wrestling, my brother. And like I said, it's an awesome thing what you've done in wrestling. And I know you got a lot of matches coming up. So I want you to tell your upcoming opponents, whoever they'll be, we'll talk about that later on. What educational lesson are you finna to give them in the ring?
Well, for sure, I'll be dropping some knowledge on their various body parts, head, chest, legs, whatever they're looking for. I appreciate the promo photo that you selected. I'm a avid kickboxing Muay Thai aficionado, and I take it very seriously, the technique of it. And that photo that you selected, I believe it's Jungle Boy, but the and not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. um, that kick, like I don't. There's nothing to correct about it. But that's also based on the fact that like I've done that. Was it Bruce Lee who had the 10,000 times theory? Like that particular kick I've thrown over 10,000 times. And like you perfect it. And then that's why I take it serious. And, one of the most difficult things about that kick is to get your hip to turn over. And I started my daughter in Muay Thai this week, actually. And she was throwing kicks, and it was just a reminder because they had to explain to her the difference between the knee pointing up at the ceiling and the knee pointing at the wall. And that's the thing. It needs to point at the wall, and it's got to be worked on and perfected. And, again, that's why I take pride in it.
That's a cool thing. You said too, like you're really into like, kickboxing of that nature. And it is that hard to train to get ready for just as much as it is being a pro wrestler?
Yeah, but it really comes down to like, where's your passion? What do you love? Like I started doing martial arts. Taekwondo was the first thing I did when I was 8. And like, I knew pretty early on, that it was something I had found kind of my lane. And I think kids, they need that. I'll say that that's what we're trying to do with our 10-year-old right now. And she seems to really be loving jujitsu. So, and whether she's good at it or not almost doesn't even matter. Like you just want them to find something that occupies them. And I was fortunate enough to find that early. And martial arts is, just something that I've done my whole life. So training for kickboxing at times can be difficult, but more times than not, it's easy for me because I love it.
Yeah.
So like it's easy to do the things we love to do. Discipline and being an adult is, focusing on the things you don't love to do.
Bobby, you brought up a real good point. I've learned that, the older I get, take whatever you love to do, don't take it for granted, because I really believe, as crazy as this world is, tomorrow's never guaranteed. So, and you're doing the thing for your daughter is, having her peaks and valleys of what she wants to do when she gets older. And have you seen any glimpse of her maybe doing the second generation wrestler, or her getting into wrestling, following after her big papa?
She does love watching. Bianca Belair is her fave. So the top spot is occupied. It cannot be me. But she I don't know, we'll see. Seeing her in jiu-jitsu now, and seeing her in Muay Thai, I was always aware of her mobility, because kids at 10, and she's getting taller. So she's able to like crouch into positions that like us adults would only, wish for. But I wasn't aware until I saw her move recently. Her coordination and her, I'm going to call it athleticism. It's still young, at 10, and I don't want to be like a helicopter dad who's, and it's like I said, whether she's good at it or not, I don't care. It's just if she wants to go back, which she does, that's all I'm looking for. But her coordination, I don't know. I mean, I'm seeing some possibilities with this kid.
Well, that remains to be seen. You said her getting taller. I mean, she might be able to take you, when she gets older. So, I mean,
I've got 3 daughters, one of which is already taller than me. I have an 18-year-old at Pepperdine University, and Madison's been taller than her dad for probably probably 4 years now.
Man, hey,
Yeah.
man, the Bobby Fish jeans, man, they're a force to be reckoned with. And I mean that as a compliment. So, but you've
I
done a
appreciate it, but
yeah.
height is not one of those things.
Bobby, you of course, no doubt. And I'm gonna say this: if you're watching Off the Top Rope this Friday afternoon, we are full flex week. Turn on to your computer, phone, whatever, because we got Bobby Fish on the air. This guy is a legend. He is the man. Takes pride in his craft. He's been all over the world. If you want to ask him a question, leave in the comment box. I'll read it on the air because I know he'll be glad to read it for you. Bobby Fish is live today here on Off the Top Rope Friday as we get ready for the holiday weekend. If you want to actually go into Easter thinking, I talked to Bobby Fish. I asked him a question. Here's your chance. And Bobby, you of course, like for the AEWs, did you think Impact, WWE, NXT, when you say, enough's enough, I need a break or whatever circumstances may be, is it good to kind of have that sigh of relief that I'm a free agent, I can do whatever I want? Like, how does that work for wrestlers? I know wrestlers are different, but how do you feel about that?
Well, so for the better part of the last decade, I've been under contract with somebody. So like my outside opportunities were limited, and one of the things that there's different variables you take into consideration as to whether you re-sign or sign another contract or whatever it is. Obviously, money talks
Yeah.
the loudest. However, during the interim when I had left AEW, I had an opportunity that was not on my radar prior. It was to do a boxing match in Dubai. I did it in November. It was my first pro fight. I had done amateur kickboxing. I had 3 fights amateur kickboxing, a decade ago. And kickboxing, MMA is probably what I would prefer. But this opportunity presented itself as part of the Floyd Mayweather undercard. So it was just one of those things that I had never anticipated. And when given the opportunity, it was kind of like, okay, well, I just can't see myself regretting doing this. Now I can see myself regretting not doing this. So it was a, total no brainer. And that made me realize that if circumstances were different, that opportunity fell in my lap, I would have had to have asked somebody permission. And if they didn't want to give it to me, I wouldn't have been able to do it. So it encouraged me to maybe, stay free agent a bit longer and see what other kind of opportunities are there that might not have made my radar yet.
Yeah. And I know I follow your work on social media that you strike me as a type where you want to explore the world. I mean, like I said before, 10 million times I always say this. You like kicking people in the face, wrestling, but I'm saying, dude, like we're all getting older, man. Just do what you got to do. And
Yeah.
it seems like, and you can say, Ty, you're wrong, you're right, whatever. It seems like
Okay.
the wrestling business can be like you could be a slave to it. And I think some talent they don't want to be a slave. They love
Mhm.
it, but I think it wouldn't hurt to explore the opportunities if I'm making sense.
Yeah, and it is that, when we live in a world where the companies put so much into promoting you and into your being, so to speak, that they should have some kind of stake in it. So that's what contracts come from and whatnot, so that like they're not flushing all this millions or whatever into promoting you to make you this bigger star just to have you leave them or walk away. But then there's the push pull of like, okay, do they like own me? And sometimes for the term of your contract, they kind of do. So when you get an opportunity to be a little bit more freewheeling, yeah, there's something that does feel good about that, but there's, it's all checks and balances because there's something nice about a steady paycheck coming
Oh
too,
man, dude,
and
man, like I said, whew.
not worrying about injury and not worrying, like you kind of hang your ass out there when you're not under contract. So,
And,
my ass is out there.
and I gotta say, brother, you talk about it, and inflation. I mean, for you guys traveling, food's going up, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
got to pay for your own stuff. So God bless what you do, and for wrestlers trying to make it in wrestling today with gas prices and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
hopefully it gets better, and you
It
know,
will. It will. God's got
yeah,
a plan, man. He's got a plan. It's all about. I'm a man of faith, and it's not on our time. It's on His.
you know, once I know, like I said, social media is huge. Fans follow you, and did they? I guess did they hit up your Twitter, Instagram, knocking on the door, saying when you became a free agent, did they hit you up saying, "Bobby, go here, go there, go there"? This, come to my town. Like, was your social media like exploding when you were like, "I'm gonna be a free agent, the hottest free agent in wrestling"?
Hmm. I think it kind of happened just sort of gradually. So there was definitely some of that, especially early on. But I immediately went to work filling out a calendar and filling a schedule. And I had help from a couple guys that helped me do that, a ton of that stuff. Couple guys that I would call, basically my agents. And one of them actually came to Dubai with me. They flew my wife first and foremost, which was incredible to have my
Ooh.
wife on the road with me for something like that. And then they flew one of my coaches and my agent all out. So again, I'm off topic here, but yeah, the social media blew up a little bit. But to be honest, I kind of, social media can be a super toxic sort of thing. Twitter specifically.
Yeah,
So to be honest, I don't. You won't find me on Twitter.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like Twitter, social media in general. It can be that big pile of dog doo doo on any sport. People complain and about wrestling, and I always say you don't do what they do, including Bobby Fish. So it's like just
Yeah.
like, and which brings me to ask, like, do you feel that social media is bad or good for wrestling? Because I know you got wrestlers putting their emails in there where they may think, oh, promoter look at an email and be like, what do you think about the whole social media wrestling tag team?
It's like almost everything falls into the shade of gray category. It's good and it's bad.
Yeah.
It's done some very good things for wrestling. It's done some very bad things. Um, one of them is that it gives a voice to opinions without there being any checks and balance. There's no repercussion. Like nothing stops you from getting on there and somebody saying like, "Hey, George St. Pierre, you got knocked the fuck out." And it's like, okay, well, George St. Pierre, if he were standing in front of you, like you wouldn't say that to him. Um, and not even from a manly, challenging way. I'm just saying, you just wouldn't say it to him. Like he's probably not an asshole. And even if he is, like, I'm still not sure you'll say it to him. But yet you get behind your keyboard and like you can say whatever you want. It's kind of like when people drive in their cars and people will honk their horn and flip you off and this and that. And it's like if we were in a hallway passing each other and I cut you off, not thinking, or accidentally or whatever, like your reaction would be different, but you got the protection of this vehicle around you.
Yeah.
So I just think people as a whole, and I don't exclude myself from this, I need to be aware, self aware, like check yourselves a little bit with that stuff. And I think social media is just a very unchecked version of our society that that's why it becomes toxic, because it's unchecked.
I got to say, brother Bobby, like the song says, check yourself before you wreck yourself, so,
Mm.
something like that. But,
Yes, sir.
actually, somebody did comment, like they sent this to you. Of course, somebody did say, we just saw the, Endeavor Company, WWE, UFC thing. Would you be interested, in a hybrid wrestling career and, full contact fighting career, would like would the training be the same for something like that? That's an interesting thing with them two teaming up. We've heard about the whole signing between these two. So somebody sent that comment to you. If you had a take on that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at this point in my life and in my career, I still have an itch to compete. What I realized being in wrestling for so long is that, there's a competitive itch that's not necessarily scratched with it, because it is performance, and there is a difference between the two. And prior to pro wrestling, I had been in kickboxing and I played college football, and like I competed my whole life, as an athlete my whole life. So that itch to go out and compete becomes, in the beginning, it was very similar when I got into pro wrestling. And then as I went along, I started to notice the difference, being that in pro wrestling, you're asked to spin, 10 different plates.
Yeah.
And then you're spinning those plates, and then something goes wrong, and now you're asked to spin another one, and then another one. And that kind of diverts your focus. So what I think I missed the most about competing was just a single-minded purpose. Like, I'm going out there to beat you. I'm going out there to hurt you, however you want to phrase it, or you are trying to do the same to me. And that's a very single-minded purpose, where with pro wrestling, like, you're headed out to the ring and you got 10 different things on your mind.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes I definitely enjoy both. I love both. Would I be interested in doing some sort of hybrid where I am competing again? Yeah. I mean, I did that boxing fight. We were supposed to get a second fight out of that. It's not looking like it's going to happen. So I'm actively, I would love to take a kickboxing fight at this point in my life. I would definitely be up for it.
Yeah. Well, if Bobby Fish comes to your neighborhood looking for some kickboxing action, get the hell out of there, because you're going to lose anyway. So, that's what I'm definitely going to say.
I just want to compete, man. Win,
Yeah.
lose, or draw. Just give me a second to go out there and
Yeah.
feel that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just, like I said, you pretty much just painted that picture of doing what you love, kickboxing, wrestling, man. And like I said, you're going to shine like you always have, man. I got faith in Bobby Fish, man. That's definitely no doubt.
Sir.
Now you definitely, we know you love to educate, man. And you got 2 events coming up this month. I know you'll be educating with, so I'm gonna roll this clip if you can see it, of course.
Okay.
You have, of course, wrestling, Atomic, and One Pro Wrestling coming up. So these 2 events, these cards are stacked. And how you feel about these 2 cards? All the talent. I see Lance Archer on there, yourself.
Yeah.
What's some educating you're gonna be doing on these cards, man? Because these cards are, I was like, damn, this is a big deal.
Yeah. Well, first off, 1PW is in the UK. It's a super stacked card. I believe we are in a tournament style format, and I'm gonna be hooking up with Will Ospreay, who he and I have had previous history working for New Japan, and so I'm itching to get that back. I have a couple of losses to Will, and we're both strikingly different performers at this point in our careers, especially him. I think, he was pretty young the last few times he and I wrestled. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to see, kind of the things that he's added to his game firsthand, as opposed to just seeing them, in a recording or something. And then for Atomic, it's actually, these things are right one after the other. Like I am actually catching a flight the evening of the Atomic show to get to the UK because it's the last flight leaving. So like I'm on a tight schedule. So to be honest, it's gotta get there, gotta get the win, gotta get on the road, gotta fly to the UK.
Man, how much sleep are you predicting you'll get?
None. Absolutely nothing. I mean, man, I'm sure on the flight to the UK, I will zonk out for sure. I mean, I'm a dad, so falling asleep is a talent.
Man, I tell people all the time, when you diss pro wrestling, something that I love, Bobby loves what they do. He said he has to go to flight out of there to one place next, try to do what they do. We take pride in, what they do and the traveling and the training. He's got to face Will Offspring, and it's definitely going to be a crazy thing. But on the positive side, fans, they're really going to love these events because I know wrestling over in the UK is crazy, just crazy. They love it over there. Like,
Yeah, and 1PW does a good job with their product. So, I'm looking forward to it. The UK is always a great place to go over and work. And yeah, I mean, I am excited about it. I think also, when just as far as like taking pride in what we do and whatever, like I know we're not everybody's cup of tea, and that's perfectly okay. But yeah, there should be a certain respect paid to what everybody does to put food on their table. But I don't know. I mean, I just don't get butt hurt over it anymore. Like you can think of it whatever you want. Um, I don't think anything wrong about someone being a grocery store clerk, or a plumber or a fireman, or it's like we're all one on this earth, and we're all trying to, be. Excuse me, sir. Hold on.
yeah. Well, like I said, today, off the top rope Friday, we got Bobby Fish on the show. So, like I said, we already had a fan comment on the show, ask him a question about the whole WWE, of course, Ultimate Fighting thing. So, but Bobby Fish, definitely the hottest free agent in wrestling. He is here live on Off the Top Rope right now. So, and definitely, like I said, he's done AEW, Impact Wrestling, and Bobby is definitely, the man, and he is here on Off the Top Rope today, as well, and he has, like I said, events coming up in the UK as well. So, and this is, of course, Off the Top Rope Friday afternoon. We have a full flex week here on the show as well. So we're just waiting for Bobby to come back on the broadcast, and you can ask me anything about WWE, AEW as well, and questions about, of course, we'll talk about WrestleMania happening last week. We can talk about that as well until we get Bobby back on the broadcast here on Off the Top Rope. And Off the Top Rope is back live on Saturday night, tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. So waiting to get Bobby back on the broadcast as well here on the show. So hopefully and he is back. No.
My apologies, sir. I had to get the door.
That's okay.
Sorry.
I was just telling everybody watching the show live, we got Bobby Fish on the air. So, like I said, definitely missing out if you're not watching it, but they can watch the show after it airs and they can download and watch it if they missed on this Friday as well. And, we talked about you doing work coming up in, the UK later this month. Now, you're no stranger to these places as well. They're all good in their own way. All these places quite well. If you, of course, we got New Japan Pro Wrestling Impact. WWE, NXT, AEW, Ring of Honor. If you could put one thing about each of these companies, what's one good thing about each?
There was okay, so I guess we'll start with New Japan. Um, New Japan, just the history and the tradition of New Japan, and the style that was Japanese pro wrestling, was something I loved, and the respect that the fans kind of had for it, was one of the things that I enjoyed the most out of New Japan. Um, Ring of Honor was kind of a, a Japanese style pro wrestling in the States. However, I think that it ended up being sort of a, dare I say, bastardized version of it, only because there were not everybody was privy to experience working in Japan. So it was much of what they were seeing and then their interpretation of it. So some people were a little bit more spot on than others. However, what I think you got was the evolution of the pro wrestling industry into this thing that we have today. Ring of Honor was a big part of that, I think, where it was, there's a ton of good and a little bit of bad that go along with both. They it definitely inspired a whole generation of wrestlers in this country to do something a little bit different. Um, Impact Wrestling, I was only there for a very short period of time. I was really never there. Like, I did a weekend for them. And then there was a misperception that that's where I was under contract, and I never was. So actually, I think I did a couple weekends. But I, certainly enjoyed my time there. I have nothing, negative, and certainly positives. There's a lot of people there who I've known over the years, and had. It's always nice to see people that you don't currently see. You get a chance to revisit with them and all that. AEW, I would say the most positive part of that was the freedom. There's a ton of creative freedom that is given to you there, that I don't think always exists in pro wrestling, and that's refreshing. And then for NXT, I would say it was just a great window of time within pro wrestling. When we came in, NXT was already hot, but becoming even more hot, and I had the pleasure of working with people and working under people who I'd watched as a fan and a child myself. So to be directed by those people and to learn, be under that learning tree, those takeovers that we did were, they just felt magic. Like there was a certain vibration going on those cards, and it was undeniable. So, bravo to everyone who came together, because it takes a village to raise a child, I think they say, or whatever. But they certainly, the child that was NXT, there were a lot of people that contributed there, and it was just from a vibrational standpoint, there was nothing but positive vibes.
Yeah, and like I said, all those promotions, they're doing their own thing, and which makes pro wrestling special. And you pretty much answered it. Like they all have their own thing, which makes them all, successful. And Bobby, this is your first time on Off the Top Rope. So this next segment, I'm gonna try to stump you. I think you'll like it though. So
Okay.
you ready for the next question?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Damn, Ty. That's good.
All right. The question is now, so we call this, Bobby, here's my idea. So a promoter pulls you aside saying, Bobby, I want you to create your own gimmick style match for the night. What would that be? Never been done before. Your own type of match.
Oh boy. I don't know. Maybe. All right. I guess we'll go with just a straight kickboxing match.
I get that to you. Like I said, a lot of guests are like, damn, Ty, you got me on this. So I'll give you that. So like I said,
yeah. That's the best I got. Wow.
So like I said, we talked about early in the episode, you got, 2 big events coming up later this month. Like I said, you got your podcast. So this is where we come to Off the Top Rope towards the end. I want you to slam and promote what you got coming up next. You got your podcast. I got you up there, wrestling seminars, meet and greets. So let everybody know what's up next for the man himself. Like I said, the fastest feet in wrestling, Bobby Fish. Let them know what's up next for you, buddy.
Yeah, the Undisputed Podcast with Bobby Fish. We drop on Wednesdays, new episodes. Right now, the full video version is with Premiere Network. You can get the audio version of it everywhere that you normally get your podcasts from. We're on all of them. That is something that we're driving pretty hard because we believe in it and feel like it's coming together. We've had some great guests, within pro wrestling, Scotty 2 Hotty being one of them, and then outside of pro wrestling, like Kenny Florian or Quentin Rampage Jackson. So we've been very fortunate, and we continue to kind of push the boundaries with that podcast. Available for seminars. I think that's something that I really want to dip my toe in more, is the teaching, the coaching of what we do, because it's evolved over the years, and I think that's a place where I can contribute. I will also direct people to bobbyfishapparel.com. That is our website where all of the apparel that exists in the Bobby Fish world, that's where you can get it now. And there are definitely some knockoffs out there. So if you're getting it anywhere other than bobbyfishapparel.com, you're not getting the real thing. So be warned.
Well, we definitely want the real thing. And like I said, definitely check out Bobby's website, apparel.com. Get merchandise, real merchandise. And then you got your shows later this month. You got your podcast, man. You're a busy dude, man. And like I said, promotions knocking on your door. Like I said, it's damn good to be the one and the only Bobby Fish. And I'm going to ask you this question too. If somebody pulled you aside and said, Bobby, would you go back on Off the Top Rope again with Ty Asbury? What would you tell him?
Of course. Of course I would. Yes, sir.
I will say thanks a lot, man, for coming on the show, man. It's truly an honor, man. Like I said, keep doing what you're doing, man, with the podcast, wrestling, beating people up, man. And we can't wait to see where Bobby Fish is going to be next in pro wrestling, man. And God bless you, my brother.
Very cool. Bless you, sir.
This is your boy Ty Asbury. I'm going to say this again. If you didn't watch this episode of Off the Top Rope, full flex style, hey, you can watch it again. Like I said, after this live episode, Bobby Fish, the man with the most educated, fastest feet in wrestling, was on the show today. Like I said, Bobby, have a good one, man.
You too, sir.
I'm Ty Asbury, everybody. Love yourselves. Love God. See you later.
The Ropes Media. Tyrone Asbury. Yeah. Tyrone Asbury. Yeah. Every chance you get to hear us, so clear us. It's the time on the radio. My opinion's my opinion. Every time you hear me now moving out, lay on the stereos. Every podcast live, you know the feeling. This is the time for me to speak. You know the healing. I'm telling the truth and everything I say in this moment. But my time, I guarantee there is no more opponents who really